You're asking for the shaker, Dan.
Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. VCQ, Dan here.
Mick here. Hello. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Let's get my wong on.
Nice.
Yeah, hope you're all awesome. Hope you've had a great weekend.
Walking around making sure everything's working
Yes.
as usual.
Mix,
As is my want.
doing that with all the controls. Yeah, hope you had a great weekend. We had a great weekend.
Oh, you seem to be
Massive thank you to everyone
far
that
apart
came and
today.
said hello at the Birmingham Guitar Show.
Birmingham.
It was brilliant fun.
Greatest city in the West Midlands.
Next to
It's a running-
Solihull.
Yeah, next to... Actually, it was actually in Solihull, yeah. It was... that's a Randy Newman song.
Is that a real song?
Birmingham, the greatest city in Alabama. You can travel across this entire land, but there ain't no place like Birmingham.
Okay, that's the Birmingham in the US of A.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, this is in the middle of UK,
West Midlands.
West Midlands. Okay, there you go. Anyway, it was great. We had an absolute riot yesterday. It's brilliant fun. Mick brought out the 100-watt Marshall and the 100-watt Two Rock and had them together, and people were just going, "Yeah!" It was so good. It was so good.
Thanks to everyone that came, and wider than who came to see us at the Birmingham Guitar Show. Also, who came to see Dan at the Gig Rig. They had a stand there. But wider than that, anyone who went to the Birmingham Guitar Show,
Yeah.
because it's such a lovely place.
It is so
It
good.
feels good, and it was great to see so many people there and just chat and be face to face with humans and talk about all the stuff.
You know what
Brilliant.
I really like about it. Apart from, I'm assuming Fender and Gibson weren't there,
No,
but apart from that, everyone was there. Everyone was represented in some way, and I'm going to make a prediction that I reckon it won't be too long before, in some capacity.
oh, they might be.
Yeah.
They've done it. Fender have certainly done it before, I think, but I don't know. I don't know where those brands are at the moment.
Yeah.
I think they're looking out and above the traditional markets.
I got turned away at Fender at NAMM. I went to go and have a look, and they're like, "Sorry, sir." Okay,
That is
that's good.
There's some very strange irony in all of that.
But so yeah, the Birmingham Guitar Show is it's organised so well. Everyone's there. It's all accessible, but it's accessible in a way that, like, as a small vendor, you don't have to spend a huge amount of money to have a presence there.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, really brilliant. So I'm already looking forward to next year.
Groovy. Right, welcome to VCQ. Viewers, comments and questions. For those of you who are new, we do this most Mondays. I want to say massive thanks to BV, who is moderating in the chat and helping out there. Thank you so much, BV.
Yes, buddy.
We
Thank you,
really
mate.
appreciate everything you do. And also thanks to everyone else who's joined us. I am going to turn off the super chats because I believe we have a goodly number in, and we want to make sure we answer them with the usual tangential minimum specificity. Of course, it's logged me out. It's funny, isn't it? It never logs me out except when we're live.
Yeah.
Why? What's that all about?
Just, yeah.
Safety measure.
There's also a thing called friend tech. Like, whenever you go to show your friend something, it doesn't do it.
Oh yeah,
Whatever that is.
yeah, yeah. I had a great one at the show. Before we say hello to everyone, I'll recount the day that Gibson launched or at least demoed the first version of the robot tuners by, I don't know if they were Tronical at that point or not. Frankfurt Music Messe, and Robbie Gladwell's there, and he's going, so you just press this button and it tunes itself up. A string snapped. And in exact same way yesterday, somebody was showing me a thing that connected to an app, and he said, oh, it's great, and it's got an app, and I just was trying with all my will to be polite and kind and not to go, I'm not looking at that. Anyway, lo and behold, gets his phone out, hits connect. It doesn't connect.
Yep.
Anyway, there we are. Okay, so we say hello to Tom K. We say hello to John Bentley. Hi, John. Nice to hear from you, buddy. We'll get to your super chat in a bit. Johnny T, Hobo Roadie is on. Wadey, 1960 CS. Scott from Baltimore, on the streets of Baltimore. Mr. Simmons is on. Albus
Gene.
Band, Aaron. Oh, yeah, Gene, yeah.
Simon VRDJ, it was great to meet you at the show, mate.
Hey, Simon.
He says, I am present, incorrect, and very tired. Yeah.
Marcus Reeves is on. Hey, Marcus.
Hey, buddy.
Great to see you at the weekend. Danielle Williams. Hello, Danielle. Nice to hear from so many old friends. I don't mean they're old. I mean, we've known them for a long time. Richard Pribanow, Darren Ames, Robert Iboy. Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely humans. Paul Matulovic is on. Johnny Rooster. Nice to meet you at the show again, Johnny. Didn't realise that was you. Johnny Rooster. Ben Schwartz, Mark T.
David Burke, Jimbo Diddley.
Eli.
Eli as in Turok Eli.
No, as in Stringjoy Eli.
Oh, awesome. Thorpe is in as well.
Thorpey,
Great
great
to
to
see you,
see
mate.
you and Georgia at the show.
Yep.
Oh, it's nice, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
nice.
Thorpe and Georgia are coming up for dinner in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
Yeah, because they
Thanks
they
for
often
dinner,
get
by the
to-
way. Gigrig bought me dinner on Saturday
Oh,
night.
you're
It
very
was
welcome.
very
It was
nice.
nice, wasn't it?
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, they come up to Swindon every now and then. It's like, and we've been meaning to do that for ages, and they're just
Hello,
they're just
Lee.
the best people. So yeah, that'd be lovely.
Awesome. Okay. Then let us get on with it, shall we? Jim's on from Devises, just down the road,
Awesome.
which is nice.
Oh, hello to the wonderful people at Highwatt as well. We are planning a visit to go and see them. They offered me, they had one of Noel's 100-watt 2x12 combos,
Oh,
the
yeah.
vertical one, and I was going to use that. But by the end of the show yesterday, I was so done that the thought of me carrying that thing up the stairs, I was like, no, I'll take the Princeton. But I am so looking forward to that show, and also I had the Highwatt out for our experience day on Friday.
Hi to everyone. There's a few of you in the chat today. Thanks so much for joining us on Friday. It was a really great day.
That was
actually.
brilliant.
Really, they're always good, but
Yeah, that was so good.
yeah, more humans. You see, more humans.
Yeah, and so I played the Highwatt on the experience day, and it was like, okay, that's the Highwatt. What an astonishing amplifier!
So do you think it's working okay?
No, it needs to be recapped. The hum is the old caps on the output.
But I think it's got a few dodgy.
It needs to
maybe
be
they're
cleaned and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, good.
When
Right.
I first started up, I was like, and so I just sat there for like 5 minutes, twiddling the knobs,
Yeah.
flicking the knobs back and forth, to and fro,
Ah, yes.
and finally, it came good.
Yes, no more ear crunching noise. Good. All right, let's get into the super chats then this week. I have turned them off, so if you've super chatted to this point, we will answer you. Actually, Simon. Thomas Eichinger is last in today, so we will get to you all. I promise.
Hobo Roadie, Music Therapy Laz, greetings, sirs.
Groovy. Oh, God, there are quite a lot. Plexico.
Duncan,
He says, no question, just admiration.
Oh.
Peace.
bless you.
Bless you, mate. That's
lovely,
kind of
man.
you.
Thank you.
We feel your peace. Hey.
Where's your harmony?
Yeah. Yeah, I think peace is good. It's like, despite the consistent 112 dB from the show floor,
So loud.
it felt peaceful in the show. Noise notwithstanding. People were just very kind and nice and
Yeah.
human. I'll stop saying human now. Hello, Sailor FX Official. Joe, great to see you at the weekend. Tell you what's great about guitar shows, you can just randomly walk into a pub near the venue and see people that you know.
That's hilarious.
And then you look at your watch and go, oh dear, I better go home. He says, Hey guys, was amazing to bump into you at the guitar show at the weekend. Damn, your team are absolutely awesome. Joe
thanks,
has
mate.
literally the best bass face I've ever seen. What a lovely guy.
It's just his face.
Yeah.
It's just his face is bass face.
Non-aligned is next in. Are we familiar with the Olinthus cicada pedal? Cicada, isn't it? One of those
Right.
things that makes noise in the evening.
Okay. I wonder if it's spelled S-I-K-ada. Like,
I think it's spelt cicada as in how you would spell it for the insect.
okay.
I think. Would you put a cicada on your board? Bugs are often a great source of protein. Have you ever eaten an insect? So I wonder if it is actually made from a cicada case then. Let's have a look.
I ate some insects when I was in Thailand. I think it's a dare.
Well, there was...
I think everyone apparently eats like 4 or 5 spiders a year, on average.
apparently so. Oh, there we go. Look, it's a really tiny little...
Oh, cool.
I see.
Oh, heavens.
A super tiny overdrive.
How does
Crazy tiny.
how do you even plug it in?
You just think about it.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure there's some jacks on it somewhere. Have you... yeah, so you've eaten insects in Thailand. Don't believe I've ever eaten ice.
Crickets, I think.
There was a load of talk, wasn't there, about it being the next big protein source.
Yeah.
If we all get bored of farming.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
if it becomes problematic to farm.
the government's doing their best to make sure we're eating bugs in the future.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, what about other insects that we've eaten? No, I feel feed mealworms to the robins in the morning. Catherine does.
Oh, lovely.
We've got lovely robins in the garden. And other birds, of course. We're not birdist about it. And when I go for the dog walk, there's a little gate, and I put some seed on the top of the gate post, and the robin comes down. He's just
lovely.
right there. He doesn't sit on my finger, but he's right there. He's
Little
happy.
Viewings of an ornithological nature.
Yeah, or he, she, or they. I'm not sure how to sex a robin, but you know.
You just ask it,
Yeah.
and they'll tell you.
Oh boy, will they tell you. Right, moving on.
Right. What was the question?
Don't know. Have you ever eaten an insect?
Yes. Yeah, I have.
You have. I have
We
not.
probably all have.
That I know of. Not through choice, anyway. Mark T. Hello, Mark. When doing wet dry, is there a benefit of splitting to the front end of each amp versus using 1 amp's preamp, effects send, wet effects, and then the effects return of the other amp? Okay, so wet dry, as we usually do it, TPS wet dry, we sort of started to call it to stop upsetting people.
Oh, yeah, man.
Is the first method you mentioned. Second method, the example of that would be Andy Timmins. That's how he does it. So he uses typically 2 Lone Stars into the front of the first Lone Star, exactly what you say, out of the effects send, through the wet effects. Well, the drive effects go in the front, but the wet effects connected by... And Rabea does it that way too, because stereo.
Because stereo.
So, in what instances then are we happy to split off the board and go into the front of the amps, and in what instances does it make more sense to use the loop
If
method?
you're using the gain in the amplifier as your main source of drive, then it's a good idea, but you need to make sure that the wet effects that you're going to go wet dry with or stereo can handle the level from the preamp. It's important to remember that not all preamps operate at the same level. In fact, every preamp is different. So the signal level, which is translated into a voltage, will be high, and depending on the amp can be very high. Like my matchless can be, I've measured it at like 27 volts. The Tweed, I've got a line out from my Lazy J, and that thing can be over 30 volts. I mean, it's incredible from just a Tele E chord. It is red though, but it's important to remember that signals coming from the preamp can be high. So you need to make sure that your pedals can handle that level. like there's a thing with another thing. I interviewed Mark Sampson and met Mark Sampson for the very first time at NAMM, and he passed away last week, which was a few days ago actually. So just to say, it was wonderful to meet him, and I enjoy his genius on every occasion that I plug into my Matchless. So thank you, Mark, for bringing so much tone into the world. But yeah, the effects loop on the Matchless, there are very few effects you can plug into that.
That'll work with it, yeah. So yeah, the boiled down is, if you're using the amp gainy, you want it makes the. No, let me not generalize too much. If you're using the amp gainy and you want your reverbs and delays to sound clean, then the loop is a great way to do it. If you're playing shoegaze and you want to put your reverbs and delays before your overdrives or associated genre, then it doesn't matter. They can just go straight in the front and you get all that mad reverb and delay bloom. Now, of course, there is an in-between world there, which would happen to be my new Marshall. Welcome, everyone, to the 1959 S Super Lead Mark II from 1988. It has an interesting story, and I will tell it in a vlog. As you can see, it has a incorrect front panel, which was factory special.
Why is it incorrect?
Oh God! The old ones, the top bit of the panel comes to there.
Oh, okay.
And the logo sits higher.
Okay.
And as the new Marshalls come in, it's equidistant.
Right, and so the logo got bigger.
And the logo got bigger and was there.
Okay.
So that should be higher.
Right.
Anyway, so I think I'm going to call it Mugly.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Because it's the ugly Marshall.
It's beautiful.
Anyway, so I've just got this mad Marshall thing going on at the moment, completely into it. And I like to run it so it's just overdriving. And there is a real sweet spot there where if you overdrive it too much, especially with digital reverbs and delays, they can sound splashy and crashy and unpleasant. So for the time being, I've got rid of my bright sounding digital delay and I'm using a tape sounding delay, the Bell Epoch Deluxe, the Catlin Bread one, which is dark sounding. Would be the same were it an analog delay. And I've taken a lot of the high end out of my reverb, so I can push the amp quite hard, and yet it still sounds good into the front. A, because it doesn't have an effects loop. B, because I can't be bothered with all the extra cables.
But it was so interesting on the experience day, hearing that at that level. The reverbs just sounded perfect into it.
Yeah. And
just
then,
amazing.
And then, so to make it relevant to the question again, if you are doing that and you're varying the gain quite considerably anywhere in the amp, what Andy Timmons does is he has his wet effects on an expression pedal, so that, for example, if you then kick on your fuzz and you want less wet, you can just dial the wet level back a little bit, and it's a great thing. And that's sort of what I'm having to do with this rig, because yeah, you don't want to be going fuzz, tube driver, boost, CXM78 reverb into the front of that, because it just goes jing. Actually, the reverb's not so bad. The delays are much worse. So I need to just ease it back.
Yeah.
Hope that was enough relevant detail without too many tangents. Andrew R, thank you for your incredible generosity. Thank you everyone for your generosity for super chats.
Really appreciate it.
It does help. Keeps us doing what we're doing. Andrew R says, hello D&M. Imagine this. Your band, the Legends, will be opening for an international act, the Bare Toes. You arrive with your dialed in wet dry rig and learn the Toes need more mics. As a result, you only have one mic. What do you do?
Just put it on the wet amp.
Yeah, mic the wet amp.
Easy.
Yeah, that is one of the key benefits of wet dry over stereo, because everything's coming out of the wet amp, so you can just mic it. Now, it does bring into question which amp wet and which dry. So I've always viewed it like the wet amp is your number one amp.
Yeah, sure.
and then
Because the dry amp can be anything.
is added for extra.
Exactly. Extra clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that also means that when you've got your pedal board, you can run just one amp if you want, but you've always got the other output if you have the luxury of running two amps. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what we would do. Slightly more problematic if you do what Dan does, and you've got some things going to one and some things going to the other.
Yeah.
So Dan's in a sort of
Damn world.
wet, dry, damp, stereo.
All the everything option available.
All of the above.
Yeah.
So
the CXM in stereo with the 2 amps, it's obviously it's back on the board now.
it's spectacular.
It's once you've done it, it's just so hard not to do that.
Yeah. The other thing you could do, if you're really serious about it, and you were worried that situation might occur, and this is getting semi-serious now, but you could take with you your own mics, stand, mixer, lead. So you make sure everything's in phase, so that front of house gets one XLR.
One feed. Oh, that's interesting.
So I do know people that do this. So you take care of everything, and it's sort of the equivalent of going direct. You say, there you are, Mr. Front of House, or front of house, whoever you might be. All you need is one XLR, and this will work great for you. Thanks. And then you take care of the mix. That's what I would do if I was worried about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think
That's a lot of hassle, but we are not exactly in the business of not doing things properly.
Yeah.
You would have to make sure it was all in phase, though, because that's the other thing. Front of house, if it's good front of house, the first thing they'll do with any dual signal is check the phase.
Yeah, but you can check that yourself.
Exactly. Make sure it's right from the get-go.
Yeah, completely. And then if you've got that little mixer, send the signal. Nice. I do like that. And then they're getting a mixed low impedance signal straight to the front.
It's the microphone equivalent of going direct.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
But one that actually works. Oh man, it's so funny just hearing mixed rig yesterday at volume and hearing the cabinet just working the stuff. It's like, it's pretty special. Anyway.
Thank you, Andrew. I hope that answered your question. Fat old guy at 5,000 meters says, I just bought an Ibanez Tube Screamer amp. Weird, 15 watt, and it has a TS on board. Surprisingly, it sounds pretty great as a low volume pedal platform, responsive at most volumes. Have you ever tried one?
Never even heard of one.
Crap build quality. Yeah, I have. Remember when they came out? Little the ones I saw were cream. The vinyl was cream. I think they might have even had a green front panel or a green logo. And cool little thing.
Oh, there you go.
Does it have a green front panel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
How does your brain store this stuff, Dan? When I can't generally remember what day it is. Yeah. I remember when they came out now.
There you go.
Oh, I've never seen that one.
That's another one.
Never seen that one. That looks like a custom one. Dan's found one that looks a bit Jetsons.
Yeah, but there's the head.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
cool. I like that. 180 quid.
Let's get one.
Okay.
Let's see if we can find one somewhere.
Okay.
Nice.
They're still selling them. They're still in stock and
Oh,
available.
really?
Yeah. Very good. I like it.
I bet they're not as good as the old ones.
It would be hilarious if Ibanez included a digital model of the Ibanez Tube Screamer in an app.
Powered by nanotube.
Oh, brilliant.
This one really doesn't sound
like a Tube Screamer.
doesn't sound like a Tube Screamer. Sorry, what you're hearing there is 25 years of exasperation of working in the guitar business.
Man.
Where you turn up to the press conference and they say, this year it really sounds like tubes. I know. It's
funny.
not, there is a sarcasm, it's unpleasant, I get it, but yeah.
We're just having a laugh.
We're just having a laugh.
little dig.
We're D-Mob happy after the show, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway. Cool, fat old guy. We will, let's try and get one. Let's try and get one. Mellow Fellow 7. Hi D&M, I'm playing baritone lately.
Nice.
Got a Squire telly. Curious about your experiences with baritones, and if pedal and amp settings for E-tuned guitars, regular concert pitch guitars, need to change for B tuning. Yeah.
Yeah, I've only played a couple of baritones. I pick one up and I play it and go, yep, not me. And I put it straight back. And you hear Mark Lettieri and Rabia and those guys get on, it's like, oh, it's so good.
I really like baritones at B, because that's not like, it's a long way down, but it's not like a Fender Bass 6, which I find impossible to play.
But is that the same? It's the same as a 7-string, right? Fundamentally, if you're tuned down to a B and you've got all the same intervals, it's the same frequency range as a 7-string with the B on the bottom.
I guess so. Many baritones tend to be slightly longer scale length.
Yes, but what I mean is, if
it's register-wise.
Register-wise to be the same.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I don't know. I remember the Passion and Warfare days with Steve with his 7-string. I don't think he made any special changes to his amplifiers to go down.
I think that's a different thing, though, isn't it? That's a low string. I think the thing with actually, it's not the same, is it? It's not the same because, sorry, those of you who are spatially aware enough to be yelling at the screen at this point. If you take a baritone, right?
Yeah.
Guitar.
Yes.
And you tune it down to B.
Yes.
If you play this.
Yep.
That's just E down.
Yeah.
So if you did that on a 7-string, that wouldn't work.
No. But what I'm saying is the low B on a baritone is the same as a B on a 7-string.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same note. Fundamentally.
You couldn't do that. Because the intervals would all be out.
That's right. Playing aside, I'm just talking about frequency and response.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you're rocking out on your 7-string and you're wondering and I've got a baritone, both at low B, do I need a different amp or setting? And it comes down to the guitar and the noises and stuff that you're making. If you're I'm just trying to think of an amplifier that wouldn't handle a low B, and I don't think that would be a real issue. You might want to tighten up the bottom end a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. It's like your overdrives and fuzzes and stuff. You're sort of halfway towards bass territory, and what you often find with bass distortions and fuzzes and stuff is they'll have a clean path as well. Because if you distort the whole note, it becomes indistinct and you can't hear it. So you need the core note in there as well. So there's a bit of that. I think Rabia has said that you just don't need all the bottom end.
Yeah.
In the pedals and things, because if you're playing heavier styles and you're using overdrive, then that whole thing about cutting the bottom end as it goes into a gainy amp, such as they used to do with tube screamers, for example, great metal trick. But then if you're playing cleans, I really love baritones. It's playing chords on baritones. Yeah. It's got, because obviously all the resonances are different and the way the harmonics interact are different, and it's got this really somber, it always has a somber feel to me.
It's your E-flat strat taken to ridiculous levels.
Yeah, but I'd never play it like that. I'd always play it in a completely different way. Right. In the same way that you wouldn't play a bass the same as you would a guitar. I don't think you'd play a baritone the same, even though you can.
Sure.
Let's get one.
Yeah. Gordon Rankin says most amps are tuned -3D at 40 hertz, so it should be fine. Yeah.
I've had two. I've had a Squire one and I had a Music Man one.
Longer scale?
Yeah, they were both longer scale.
Right.
And I think I got rid of them because I was broke rather than I didn't like them.
Right. Okay.
And I didn't really use them,
Yeah, they're luxuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. how many records you hear them on, actually.
Yeah.
If you, certainly in the sort of modern country world, you'll hear them all over the place in a lot of Americana music.
It's my favourite Mark Lettieri stuff. My favourite stuff he does is his baritone
His baritone,
stuff. He's got that. His approach to baritone, I think, is amazing.
Well, there we go. Then maybe we could find a baritone exponent, have them in and get them to school us a bit. That would be nice. Yeah, good. So back to the pedal and amp settings. I just watched the bottom end, and if you find it's indistinct in some way, maybe back off the gain a little bit, but all to taste.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then just as an extension of that, if you're using stuff like univibes, harmonic tremolo, anything that wobbles the bottom end,
throbs, yeah,
that's going to make all of that worse. So it's making sure it stays clear is probably the name of the game.
Yeah, nice, very good.
John Freemer's Random Videos. John Freemer's Random Videos says, here's a bit extra over Patreon. No question, lag ends.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you, John. That's very kind of you. Tom Dickinson. Hi, Tom.
Hello, Tom.
Tom says, hi, guys. I've been enjoying the Volante, Strymon Volante delay pedal for a couple of years, but as we know, the Tone Quest continues. I'm considering a Future Factory or a Bunar. Is it worth swapping? I'm running mono. Thank you.
I think the Future Factory is really amazing. They're very different. So, what you get in the Strymon, they've gone to great lengths to try and get the preamps right, sonically, so you get the tape and the drum delay sounds right, but also what I think Strymon are brilliant at is their UI, their user interface. And I think on the Volante, they've got it right. It doesn't take long to get your head around turning the tape heads on and whether it's record or playback. So in not a crazy amount of time, you can get around getting some really serious drum and tape sounds.
I'll reiterate what Dan said with the fact that I can use this and do.
Yeah.
And help people set it up.
But the other user interface I like is the flight time. Again.
If anyone's got my flight time, can I have it back, please? I haven't seen it for months.
Okay. I certainly haven't taken it anywhere because I've got mine. There is one here, which is mine, right?
Future Factory.
Yeah.
I've got my Future Factory. I haven't got my flight time.
The original one, the mono one.
Green one.
Okay.
Yeah, I've probably left it somewhere. Okay, let's get the Bunar out of the way. I don't think there's any advantage in having the Bunar over this. You could quibble about, does the Bunar sound better? Does this sound better? I think that's highly subjective. This does more. Obviously, it's much bigger. So if you want to save some space and have a great sounding delay in mono, the Bunar is a fantastic choice. The only thing to watch with the Bunar is it flips a phase on the output. It's really annoying if you run wet dry, but if you're just running mono, no issue whatsoever, and it is great in a small package.
Absolutely.
Unreservedly recommended, but for the aforementioned phase flipping issue. But you can see how much pedalboard real estate you will save.
Yeah.
This is a really good Echo Rec sound, a really good
really
Echo Rec sound. This obviously in addition gives you the tape, it gives you the sound on sound.
Gives the reverb.
It's got the inbuilt spring reverb, and if you do want to go stereo at some point, it is exceptional stereo thing too, because you can pan the heads left and right, which is really
so clever.
Cool.
Yeah.
This or the Future Factory, okay, massive difference between this and the Future Factory. This is a multi-head delay, so you've got 4 heads, but what you've got to remember is the heads always have a relationship to one another. So the only way that you can change the relationship of the heads is via the spacing control. So, even spacing, triplet spacing, the golden ratio or the silver ratio. The golden ratio is the one in the old classic Echarec. Okay, so it's not like you've got two separate delays. The thing about the Future Factory is that it is two entirely separate delays, and you can make them do whatever you want, and you can either have them in series, so one goes into the other, or you can have them in stereo, so one goes one side, one goes the other. Obviously, if you're running mono, you'd have them in series, but they are entirely independent, so you can change the filters, you can change the modulation, you can even change the phase, variable phase. So if you want two separate delay lines, Future Factory. If you want ratio of 4 heads in classic tape or drum style, Volante.
Yeah.
I hope that answers it.
Yeah. David Pekarski says, I was at a pedal party a couple of Christmases ago where we had 200 pedals out. The Volante and the LVX were the standout delays. That's awesome.
It is. It really does sound good.
Oh, it does. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And there was a question here. Someone was asking me if I'm still using the Hampstead amp. I use the Hampstead. If I'm using one amp, the Hampstead. The Hampstead to me sounds like the closest between having my two amps together.
Huh.
It's harmonically, it's wonderful. And actually, I used it on old Quartermaster demo video I got, and the sounds, it's a really awesome amplifier. And when you hear Brian Love play through it, because you know how he got started with Hampstead? He was at a studio and he played the amp. He's like, this thing's amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's how it was the start of the relationship. Yeah, but the Artist 60, really fantastic.
It was great to see. We saw Brian. I saw
Yeah.
Brian. Had a load of booze with Brian on Saturday night. It was wonderful. Brian Love from Hampstead.
That was great. I had we were playing our thing yesterday, and Simon shouts out, "Can we hear the Red Wing?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yes, we can." That was fun.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, just checking, make sure we're all good in the. Who's next? Lee Brimble. Hey Lee,
Hey,
good to
Lee.
hear from you, buddy. Legends, hopefully my band starts gigging this year. If a venue wants a line out, will my Bad Cat Cub speaker still work? Or is it better to mic it, or do I need a cab simulator? Keep up the great work.
Just mic it. Just put a mic in front of it. Make sure you're happy with the sound on stage, and then let the sound man put a mic in front of it.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah, I've yet to go to a venue where they don't have a mic available.
Yeah.
You could always get one for about the same price that a speaker box would cost you. The one thing that was so right now, let's rewind. Does the Cub have a line out jack? Because if it has a line out jack, that shouldn't mute the speaker, but just check. So on some practice amps, using the line out will mute the speaker, so just check that.
Right.
The downside of using the straight line out, I'm just going to look it up because I could be telling you a load of crap. Back in the day, a line out was just a straight line out from the amp with no speaker simulation. So what you did is you came out the line out, and then you would have to use some sort of EQ or an actual speaker simulator, which of course didn't exist back in the days of line outs. They were designed to hit other things like power amps so that it would eventually go through a speaker, but you could send it through a cab simulator, something like a Strymon Iridium, whatever, that's got a cab simulator, and use that as a direct feed. I think that's a faff personally.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what the Cub has on it. Back panel. And then after that, Hughes and Kettner were very popular with a product called the Red Box. And what that did was it sat actually between, sat in line with your speaker cable. So you come out your speaker cable into the Red Box, out of the Red Box into your speaker.
Yeah, the Red Box I thought was great.
And that had a XLR out on it.
Yeah.
So that, I don't even know if they still exist, but that was a way to do it for a minute there. See what it says in the manual, mate, because I'm sorry I can't read the manual here, and maybe people in the chat are telling you. Yeah, it doesn't say anything. Unless you have a speaker simulated direct output on the amp, and some amps do, just mic it.
Just mic it. It's so much easier.
And dare we say, it will sound much better too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Erigasak, can't even pronounce it. Is it possible to use stereo plug 2 times mono socket cables on input output from G3S for stereo pedals so that I don't have to use effects in output 5? Mate, I don't quite understand the question. For something like that, just email into support and we'll sort it out, or join us on Thursday and ask a question and we'll get you sorted out. I will keep looking at this and see if I can make sense of it while Mick goes into the next question. And Simon says, Dan, I had to get you to use that ring for the red ring for many reasons. And Greg Archer says the red ring demo was great with the whale song at the end.
Yeah.
So much fun.
I hope that answered the question, Lee. I hope that answered the question. Yeah. Paulie's Guitars and Gear wants to know, what are the favourite passive mics to put on a guitar cab, both for live and in a mix and isolated recording use? Live, I like the Sennheiser E906s and 609s because of their form factor. So if you just want a mic, if you want one microphone and you're only ever going to buy one mic, buy a Shure SM57 and never look back.
Yep.
Just buy that and that'll do everything.
That's right. New ones sound fantastic.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's a total no-brainer because you can then add to it in time. The thing I don't like about SM57s is when you stick it on a guitar cab, it sticks out that far.
That's right.
Somebody always walks into it. Yeah. So I like the 906s, which are flat like that. You can hang it over the top, you can do whatever, and nobody walks into it. So I know that sounds really boring. Plus, I like the way they're EQ'd. And we used them for years on that pedal show. Really like them. 906 has a couple of extra features. 609 is a simpler version of it. So that would be the passive mic choice. Recording, totally different game, and it's amp dependent at that point. We are slowly but surely inching towards a Royer 121 and a 57 combination, I think. Yeah. Which is just the standard. But at the moment, we use all kinds of things. I like large diaphragm condensers in the studio and ribbons, depending on the amp. Like if it's a really bright shouting amp, a ribbon just directly on the speaker dust cap. If the amp isn't as loud and shouting and doesn't have super aggressive high end, so if you're playing at lower volume, I find you can get more life out of a large diaphragm condenser mic. And for that, we use Austrian Audio OC18, AKG C414s, Neumann TLM 102s. You just get a bit more of everything when the amp doesn't have to be quite so loud. I find you can get a bigger sound. You can definitely get a bigger sound from a small amp with a condenser mic than you can from a massive amp in a small room where the room is really compromised.
Sure.
Very hard to record loud guitar amps well.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, hopefully that helps.
Drinks and jams. Get in touch with support. It'll be a cable or something, mate. Yes, obviously it's not meant to do that, but get in touch with the support and we'll get you sorted out as ASAP.
Yeah.
Pedal Over says, hey Mick and Dan, hope you're both doing well. What did you make of the Meris Enzo X release? The demos of it look mega. So Mick and I don't really do the synth thing, but for all the synth users, they are excited beyond words. So Meris have done the LVX, the big delay, then the Mercury X, but then they've done their envelope filter, like as a full-on, like proper guitar synth type thing, and it's amazing. So yeah, I think it's a bold move, but everyone that is in that world, I think it's a game changer.
There you go. I'm sorry, I have literally no idea what it does or what it is.
There you go. Yes, it's not something. I mean, I'm not into that stuff, but I know people who are.
Yeah.
Who are excited beyond words for it. So,
Yeah, I'd have to spend some time with somebody who could give me context.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know, don't get me wrong, I know that probably a great deal of the music that we all listen to all the time has those sounds and textures in. I'm ignorant of it.
Sure.
Shall we say? Barry Thomas. Hello, Barry.
Hey, Barry.
I'm trying to decode this, Barry. He says, I'm thinking of one stereo cable from board to breakout box to the amps. My
Right.
last pedal is TRS output and the box could isolate as well, ?
The box would have to isolate as well, because if you've got a TRS cable, you've only got one earth. So those two signals, the stereo signals, are sharing one earth. So when you get to your breakout box to go to your two amplifiers, it would need to isolate one side and hopefully phase flip. But that is the way to do it. Absolutely.
I'm glad you understood.
Yeah, so some of the pedals, to save on jack space, instead of having a left and right out, they'll have a stereo TRS out. And it's something that we do in the Atom as well, having the TRS cables to save jack space. But when you get to your two amplifiers, you need to be able to isolate the second one. Taking just the ring out or whatever won't work. You need the ground as a reference. It's very important to have. So yes, that will need to be isolated.
Nice. Lucas Workshop says, Mick, which Strat position is your favourite? Bridge. Yeah. Butt, neck. And then bridge again.
Do you do a lot of the in-between stuff?
All the others.
Every now and then.
Yeah. Sometimes position 2.
Right.
And obviously if you're recording or if you're trying to whatever, position 4 is all good. And people get all hot under the collar that nobody loves position 3, even though Stevie Ray did. Really, it's bridge and neck in it for me.
Yeah.
That's what I use.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it 2 sometimes, but not really. Yeah. But bridge. I find that doing what we do here, you're sort of all over the pickup positions.
Yeah.
And of course, for good reason. When I play live, I'm on that bridge pickup most of the time, I would say.
Yeah, agreed.
Most of the time.
Yeah, some of the on the telly,
regardless of guitar.
Yeah, on the telly there's some neck stuff, but most of the time it's the bridge. This guitar, I don't go to the neck pickup very often.
No.
And mainly stay on the bridge. Someone was asking in the comments about this. So this is a 1961 Junior that I've had forever. Still called a Les Paul at that stage, but yeah, it's a really, really wonderful thing.
Tor says, I'd love to see the Boomer Boys, the Boomer Bros, try a Strandberg.
We did.
We had one on Friday. It was really cool.
Yeah, with great guitars.
An F-hole.
We're not quite boomers, by the way.
No, you need
Gen
to do a
X.
bit of a history lesson if you think we're boomers. But anyway, we appreciate the reference nonetheless. And remember, it's not old school, it's the school.
That's right.
To quote James Gadsden. Anyway, blah, blah, blah.
Did you see Neville yesterday?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
good.
we went to ATB together.
Lovely.
I had a chat there.
Yeah, he swung past and said hi. He's so great.
Ananda Dies says, have you ever explored the tones in converted 1930 to 1950 PA heads in the States? Skip Simmons. Skip Simmons is on the Truth About Vintage Amps podcast with Jason Verlind. Specialises in these, and it's like a whole world of undiscovered tone. Never ever tried one.
Right.
I just Googled it while we were talking about the other thing.
Right.
Apparently 1930 to 1950 PA started to become a thing.
Okay.
I.e. public address systems.
Yes.
And in order to do so, they would need an amplifier of sorts, which of course would have to have been tubes.
Yes.
So you've got all these very, very early tube amps
Okay.
kicking around. So I guess it's
In a similar vein of the projector amp.
exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
Right.
I would imagine that's a different game, but then of course we get cinema. Well, cinema existed before that, but anyway, the projector amps from Bell and Howell,
Yeah.
those kind of things. No, we never have.
And
I did get a 100-watt Marshall this week.
You did?
Yeah.
And that's not to be confused with was it the same vein as the Marshall PAs that are converted? The Marshall PA heads?
Yeah, so that you can find Marshalls that look broadly like that were PA heads.
Right.
With the column speakers and
Yes,
everything,
yeah,
which
yeah.
you can still pick up on reverb. No, sounds really interesting though. Sounds like a great line of inquiry. I think there's merit in some of that stuff if you can be bothered with the electronics, because I guess it would be low power. I don't know. I'm just guessing it would be stuff like tube rectifiers. It would be things that would probably have a lot of character and really individual nature to it, which could be super groovy.
Yeah.
You'd probably have to do all kinds of things like input caps and input impedance and all that so that it worked off an electric guitar. But yeah, really cool. Skip Simmons is ace, by the way. Thank you for mentioning him.
Gordon Rankin says early tube amps like Western Electric would use PP845 and 212 valves, and they're both huge tubes. A pair of 212s can generate 1,000 watts. There's an amp.
Oh, that's a beautiful thing.
Come on, 10 4x12s.
That is a beautiful thing.
Lots of love for the Corey episode we had last week. Yeah, it was really fun.
It was good. Really, really good. What a flipping... Oh, my goodness me.
What a work ethic.
Just so driven.
Yeah.
And so motivated to do work.
Yeah.
I said it in the show, but I've always thought Bonamassa was the hardest working guy in the business. I think it's actually Corey Wong.
Yeah.
My goodness me. And just, it does bear mentioning, if you haven't watched the show on Friday, please do. The dude is a non-singing rhythm guitar player. Predominantly. He does play leads as well, but,
Predominantly rhythm.
which is to say, it's not usually the thing you go to see in the band. You normally go to see the singist.
Yep.
And if you don't go to see the singist, you go and see the Widdly Widdly guitar player. He tours with an 11-piece band and 8 crew.
Yep.
In big venues.
Yep. Sells out stadiums, arenas and stuff. I mean, it's
not stadiums.
Not stadiums, arenas. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it's is wonderful.
It's remarkable.
Yeah, it really is.
It is remarkable.
But
anyway,
when you see the live stuff, how they pull off those arrangements and stuff live, with things flying so fast, and all those accents and it is remarkable. Did you hear about the bass player that had to? Did we mention that on the show?
What?
There was a bass player that they were going on tour in 2 days, and his bass player calls and says, "I'm so sorry, we've had a family emergency or whatever." He says, "I can't go." And there was a guy who reached out to him who remembered from like a year ago, who said, "I really love your stuff. I'm a bass player. I think he's from, was he from Greece or something?" He says, "If you ever need a bass player, let me know."
Oh, yeah.
Corey reached out to him and says, "Right, you're the bass player. We're going on tour in 2 days and you need to learn 50 songs.
Nah.
He turned up 2 days later, having learnt 50 songs, and nailed it.
Wow.
Nailed it. How amazing.
Well, Poch or Poach or Posh. Anyway, Poch Barreto says, Mick, what are your thoughts on boutique vintage style Strat builders like Shabat, LSL, Grosh, etc.? I think they make lovely guitars. I really like the Shabat guitars.
Yeah,
Really
they're cool.
I played some lovely Groshes. I've never actually played an LSL, but they look amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think I've been through periods in my life where I'm generally not a fan of copying things in general. Even though I guess that's all kind of sort of what we do. And it's certainly the case. And not through any moral issue, nothing like that. Just, I kind of like the original thing. I like it. But in exactly the same way that I'm drawn to the original thing, some people are drawn away from the original thing.
Yeah.
Are repelled by it.
Yeah, sure.
Let's have a debate about iPhones and Android phones, shall we? It's a personality type. It's got nothing to do with the tech.
Yeah.
Even though you'll come up with a million reasons why it is to do with the tech. So I think it's that. I think you've just got an affinity with or not with, and you go in a direction. Are they great instruments? Abso-bloody-lutely. But I think same as any guitar, you know, maybe the hit rate is higher, I don't know, but you might like that one and you might not like that one. Same manufacturer, same colour, side by side, and goodness knows that's true for Fender. So, yeah, I think they're really cool. And if it makes those sorts of guitars accessible to more people, or they feel good about it because they align with the brand in some way, then cool. Mm-hmm. I think we're at that point with consumerism now where we're not really buying features and benefits anymore. We're buying brand alignment. And any brand marketeer's job isn't to get you to think that you need this in terms of features and benefits. It's to make you feel good. That's what marketing does. It makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And, you know, do you buy a Merc or a BM?
Yeah.
Or an Audi? They're all great cars. Or a Kia and it's not about the features and benefits of the cars, it's about how it makes you feel, and that's where we are with consumerism, I think. Wow, that was a bit of a tangent.
Chris Turner says, I miss the phones with no screens wired to the wall. Yes, I like analog. I hear you, buddy.
Yeah. Kevin the Just say, I've got to say that Ainsley Lister's band hardly stops moving too. Yeah, Ains works pretty hard.
Man. He really does.
He works pretty hard. Yeah, they're all good. They're all good, aren't they? Thing about guitars, right? I'll just say this finally. They're all better than we are, aren't they?
They'll be around.
Like
longer.
there's a Danish Pete Purple Squire Telly out there. And I always use this as a reference because it's a cost-effective guitar. If you've got me playing this 1965 vintage Telly through my 2-rock, and Mike Landau comes in and he plays Danish Pete's through a Boss Katana, let's have a guess who's going to sound better. And I'll give you a clue, it's not me. So that's what I think about guitars. They are better than we are in any form. Now, does a great guitar inspire you to play better in yourself and be the best version of yourself? Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But outside of that...
And I agree completely. It's important to remember they are beautiful things. And they're just wonderful to have around. And when we get caught up in the lore of all this stuff, and you know, like this guitar is 10 years older than I am, and every time I pick it up, I'm aware of the history. Same with your Strat and my Telly, and it's like, and I pick it up and I feel a certain way, and I do play differently.
Yeah, 100%.
So all of that stuff enters into the... Absolutely.
Within yourself. And that's right back to the top of the question. That's all about the how does it make you feel.
Yeah, completely.
And that's not about features and benefits.
No.
It's not about the density of wood.
That's right.
It's not about where the resonant peak of the pickups are, even though it might be, because you like the sound of it. But yeah, anyway, blah, blah, blah. Was Mark Sampson's passing mentioned? I'm late to the party, says Magic Man. I wasn't aware that Mark Sampson had died.
I mentioned it before.
Did you?
I talked about it.
Oh, you said Mark Sampson. I didn't hear you say that he died.
Yeah, he passed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was, he passed like 3 days ago or something.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I met him for the first time at NAMM when I went out there this
May
year.
he rest in peace.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so yes. He was mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe Cooper. Joe, your super chat. BV, thanks for forwarding this. Joe Cooper says, after years of failure as a screenwriter... Okay, we're just going to stop you there. Non-success is not failure, all right? Let's just say that. After years of failure as a screenwriter, I need to start a YouTube channel.
Okay.
But I have severe performance anxiety.
Why do you need to start a YouTube channel would be my first question.
I.e. dynamic voice, Cornell, Isaac, etc. and never in a band. Any tips? Yeah, why do you need to start a YouTube channel? But okay. You want to start a YouTube channel and you have severe performance anxiety. So I guess what you're saying is there's a barrier to entry there, because if you feel like you need to perform on YouTube and you have severe anxiety, that's going to be a huge problem. Yeah. Well, you need to get some help with the anxiety, or do some work on seeing it in a different way. It's pretty natural. Some level of anxiety for performances. I would imagine vast majority of people watching this would entirely concur that some anxiety is completely normal. Bit of stage fright, bit of nervousness. But if it becomes debilitating and it means you can't perform, then that's a different thing.
Joe Cooper says to showcase my storytelling.
Okay.
I'm wondering if there's another way to do it.
Is that a thing then? Is that what screenwriters do? With apologies for the ignorance of the genre. Yeah, I mean, you're outside of our world there a bit, Joe, because I don't know how that business works. So I guess you're saying you need to market yourself, right? What would I say about that? Zoom out. Anyone who I know who is successful at anything is within a group of people who do it. So, for example, people I know who are good in studios tend to have started as a runner, old school. People who I know who are good in sales are out selling all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
And they take whatever thing is going. And I don't know if that world exists for your industry. What I'm trying to get towards is saying that marketing yourself and hoping to be discovered is probably less likely to bring you success than being in and among people who do the craft already, whether it's a writers group, whether it's getting involved with... I'm entirely ignorant to how it works. Getting involved with some local plays, amateur dramatics, I don't know, I could be way off base here, but whatever level you can get in. For example, Simon, who used to do our filming, and still does when we do the big shows like Noel Gallagher, his dad set up his stepdad, who is sadly no longer with us, set up a company called Stage Electric. Right, Stage Electric is a
huge thing,
production company, and he started that because he was interested in plays and performances and things.
Wow!
And he used to go there, and he would say, "I can't see you or hear you."
There you go.
So he bought some lights and a little PA system.
And started a company.
And he would go along and do the do.
Amazing.
Now, I appreciate, and then years later, there's this giant company exists. Now, I'm not saying you can do that, but it's an example. It's an example of what I was saying about being among people who do it. So I don't know if there's a way in that way. Otherwise, to get back to the performance anxiety thing, That's work to get over that. That is work.
Mm-hmm.
And we could talk at length about some strategies for doing that, but it might be that you could work with a counsellor. It might be that you could work with somebody who can actively give you strategies to help you get over that.
Yeah.
The best bit of anecdotal advice we ever got was from Pete Thorne.
Yeah. Yeah, he advised us before, at the very start of doing the live streams.
But he also said, if you're worried about yourself when you're performing, you are negating the audience. You are ignoring the audience.
Yeah, it's an arrogance
them
thing.
You should be concentrating on. You shouldn't be worrying about yourself. You should literally be giving them what they want. Because worrying about yourself is the wrong focus. Now, I appreciate that's really easy to say. Super easy to say.
Yeah.
But that could be the beginning of a way in to try and stop looking at yourself quite so much.
Yeah.
And how you feel.
Completely.
And try and think about what it is you're doing for the people watching.
Yeah. Completely.
Clearly, that's a long road. Probably requires a whole bunch of strategies to get there.
Yeah.
Probably requires some reading and some deep thinking. But that's it. It's like you're not the most important person in this equation. The audience is.
Yeah. Very good. Very good, sir.
I hope that helps. And
Yeah.
I hope none of that was too tough.
Yeah.
Good luck. We wish you luck,
Yeah.
Joe.
Just a quick one. Guitar Tone Pro says, Dan, any tips for elbows after a day of arm bars followed by a couple of hours of guitar playing? Elbows are getting sore the next day now that I'm getting old. First thing, tap. If you're getting arm barred a lot, just tap. Second thing, at the end of every session, stretch for between 5 and 10 minutes. This is super important, and I promise you if you do this, it'll change your training. The third thing, as you're getting older, you need to lift weights 3 times a week. It's super, super important. It will help with your bone density and help keep the muscle strong. That's been the biggest thing, because I used to have the same thing, stretching and going to the gym. Because it sounds like you're already playing guitar a lot, which is fantastic. If you're not, and you wanted to keep your guitar playing up, for every hour that I train jiu-jitsu, I practice guitar. And it stopped my hands cramping up because for all the grips. But stretching at the end of every session, crucial. Get to the gym and just do 3 times a week and do some resistance training, and that'll get you where you want to go.
Nice. Strength and stretchiness, isn't it?
Yep.
And you don't say what age you are, but as you get older, a bit of core strength and being supple, my goodness me.
Do you know what one of the biggest, what do they say, markers of mortality is? Grip strength. It's dude, seriously, because I've studied this. It's one of the, not if you've got strong grips you're going to live a long time, but it's an indicator of your overall well-being. Right? Is grip strength.
But you know the people that live longest, right?
Right.
Tend to be small Japanese women in one particular place in the world.
Yeah. I'm talking overall. Right. They're a tiny minority at the end of a thing.
Okay.
But if you're looking on average,
a bigger sample. Yeah, fair enough. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe do you remember that thing you used to be able to buy?
Yeah, but yes.
Giving guitarists RSI since 1979.
There you go. But apparently it's a really good indicator.
Okay.
Oh, look at those.
Oh, nice. We've got some new affected long sleeve t-shirts.
They're beautiful.
Let's have a look.
Literally just arrived.
You may be aware, we have another brand called Affected, where we do things like guitar straps and a bit of merch. We were going to do some more stuff with Affected, which we haven't quite got around to yet, but we've got some nice new long sleeve tees.
Oh, they're lovely.
And they have the little Affected symbol there. All available from that Pedal Show store. That's really nice, actually. That's really nice. It's a nice tee.
Yeah. The Affected stuff is great quality. There's a guy wearing an Affected beanie at the show.
Yeah.
And it's like,
He's lovely.
Look so good.
The orange one?
Yes.
I had a really nice mental health chat with him, actually.
Oh, did you? Yeah, no, they look great.
I was going to put it on a hanger, Bebbers.
I'll find one. Come on, Doggy.
Talking of stretching, are you going to Pilates tonight, Bebbers?
I am.
Excellent.
A little bit of
Pilots?
Silence, yeah.
I had a bad back at the beginning of the year. Not bad back. I'd done a very small injury at the beginning of the year. Been having physio every 2 or 3 weeks. And she's just given me the most basic strength exercises to do.
Right.
And flipping heck, man, what a difference.
Dude,
Basic stretching, basic strength.
there you
What
go.
a difference.
It's honestly,
Yeah.
it's a big deal. David Pekarski says it's at your extremities. If your extremities are strong, you're strong.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I thought it was all about your core, but anyway, maybe you just have to be strong.
It's
All of
a
you.
massive indicator on
Yeah.
that stuff.
Wow.
Because it's got to do with bone density as well.
Right. Right. Sorry.
It's good because you're running and you're doing all the right stuff. You know, it's great.
Yeah, I'm not sure running is very good for you. if I'm
Running when you get
absolutely
past a certain age, it isn't.
Well, and distance. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
quite wearing on a person. But
Absolutely.
I only run a little bit, so it's good.
But you enjoy it, right?
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah,
enjoy it
there you go.
immensely. Immensely, I enjoy it. Good. Oh, that was a tangent. Eli Blum says, okay, hear me out. We're obsessed with British reality competitions.
Okay.
One of the things on the Corey Wong show was they did the Great British Bake Off. It was hilarious, properly hilarious. Anyway,
Oh, that's
he says,
funny.
the great pedal tone down with D&M, aspiring tinkerers tasked with new builds each week.
Oh
Sounds,
my
smiles,
word!
laughs, tears and soldering. We have actually talked about it as a joke.
So, Joe from Hello Sailor.
Yeah,
We'd have Marcus and Izzy as a team.
yeah.
Who else would we have on? We would have
Me and you as the comedy duo.
absolutely.
That's how it normally works.
We're
You've got 2
We're the
experts.
Mel and Kim.
You've got 2 experts. You've got Paul Hollywood,
yeah,
expert,
yeah,
and you've got
and a couple of
what's her
larrikins.
name? No, what's her name? Prue Leith
Yeah,
or Mary Berry, as was.
yes,
And then you've got 2 presenters.
right. And so we'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the format for all of them. So the Bake Off the Professionals with Cherish and Benoit.
okay,
And then you've got the 2 idiots
yeah.
presenters.
So we'll be the idiots.
Yeah.
And I'll just walk around blowing at everyone's solder joint,
Yeah.
going, "How's it going?"
Making badly scripted gags all the
Brilliant.
way through.
Brilliant. That would be great. Fly some people from Boss over.
Well, you've asked that up, haven't you?
That would be brilliant. Don't you know you resistor from your capacitor?
Steve is building a 6 transistor Big Muff.
Thorpe, yep, absolutely. Analog Man, that would be brilliant.
We like it.
Yanis
Eli.
from Yanis, get Yanis over.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we can
Marcus
do it.
says, I am so down for this.
I think we could do it.
Okay.
Simon would know how to do it as well, because Simon, who does a bit of filming for us, he does that kind of thing for proper job.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be really funny.
I've often wondered about Bake Off, because if you, and they did show that they showed the production once, but if you watch, everything is from the front and the going that way. So all the cameras and everything is on that side, and they face that way, and it's lit that way. I've never worked out how they do the daylight.
Yeah, right.
But
Because it looks so consistent, but it's all over the place.
I think they must have an absolutely colossal
Must-
softbox
yeah,
just
yeah,
outside.
I think so. Yep.
Like, you know, like a 50-metre softbox.
Chris Quinn says, I'll burst into tears, haven't forgotten to turn my soldering iron on. Bakers, that is time. Soldering irons down.
Pippa Smith, thank you for your contribution. Pippa says, I have a friend who's a successful screenwriter and script editor. Network, not just with other screenwriters, but with actors, directors, producers, film and arts festivals, etc.
Yeah, that's great.
That's kind of what we were saying. Be in the
Be in the scene.
Be in the game.
Yeah. It's like all that stuff. It's like if you're going to be in it, be in it.
Yeah.
And you know,
Simon-
that is part of it. That is, if you got to remember, you're a small business.
Yeah.
If you're doing that stuff as an artist, any artist that's selling their stuff, you're a small business.
Yeah.
And part of the small business is marketing and doing the business.
Yeah, not to name names, but I remember like going to gigs and stuff, and like if Dan and I get invited to the Albert Hall or whatever to go and see whoever it is, and sometimes we get invited and we find ourselves in the after show party, and there will be a couple of people who shall remain nameless who are literally always there
Yep.
in the scene, being in the scene.
Yep.
Yeah. And I appreciate not everyone can get into that, but that's what you do. You find a way in.
Listen to how loud this is.
That's what I'm saying. It is. I tell people at experience days it's the loudest guitar acoustically and electrically that is in this building.
So crazy.
We love it, Eli, and I'm going to make a promise to you that we're going to do at least one episode.
That'd be really funny.
Yeah. Ben Schwartz. I think Stringjoy should sponsor it.
Yeah.
There you
okay. This is great.
Eli works for
is so
Stringjoy,
good.
by the way. Which are mine and Daniel's favourite strings. There's a packet here somewhere. Where's the packet? Oh,
There you go.
There. Look at Daniel's
these.
lovely strings.
Oh, my lovely strings. Lovely strings.
Available
Yeah, they're
from that
so
pedal
good.
show store right now.
Yep. They're wonderful. Really wonderful.
Ben Schwartz. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Ben.
Ben says, great to see you at the guitar show yesterday. It was good to see you, Ben. Sorry for the not so serious line 6 question. Oh, that was you.
Very good.
I have a solid state Laney 2x12 Lionheart. Is that what SS means? Anyway, a Laney 2x12 Lionheart. I often have to take a bit of bass off with an EQ pedal. Is this the cab or the amp? So is the bass already at 0 then? Is that what you're saying?
Must be.
Yeah, wow.
That's what it's
That
doing.
is a lot of bass. Could be the cab, yeah. And then obviously anything you've got going on before that. Have a little read about what type of EQ it is. Some EQs, the other controls can affect the bass. Like in old Mesas, for example,
right.
the first treble control had a radical effect on what the mid and bass controls thereafter did. So it might be that tweaking the others. Also, do check that mid control, because sometimes that mid can be
Reach right down.
a long way down if it has a mid control. So try that too. Experiment if there's a presence control. Try whacking that around. That can have a fairly radical effect. And I'm sure you've done this already. Try different ratios of, assuming it is a master volume setup, try different ratios of master volume and front end gain. That can also have quite a significant EQ effect.
Yep.
If it's still too bassy for you and the bass is on 0 and you've tried all that other stuff, yeah, that does seem unusual. With most amps, if you put the bass at 0, it really thins out. Just check the bass control is working.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe.
Punotted Bumhucker says, Dan, is your SG neck heavy? Not at all. So if I grab from the back here where the strap connects, no, it's
Don't
just,
do that.
No, I'm here, but it's just perfect. It's so light, this thing, but no, it's beautiful.
Look, I'm sure this is old knowledge, but I'm gonna pass it on anyway. Now, a lot of people use nylon straps, right? So if you've got a standard Ernie Ball strap or whatever, they're made of this nylon stuff. This is a Cavern Club one from when Dan and I played the Cavern.
Thanks to Ernie, thanks to Dunlop yesterday, because of course I turned up, forgot my strap, and they just gave me a strap.
Oh,
yesterday.
nice.
The guys at Dunlop were so lovely. They're sending us some stuff, including the new the Rockman pedal.
Oh, nice.
They're
Who's
getting
talked
this
to you,
out
Adam?
to us.
Did you talk about Adam Best?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just lovely.
Right, so this is a Strat, obviously, but nylon strap, slippy.
Slip sliding away.
This guitar, you hear the neck move, just even from that. Nylon strap, right, slippy. Suede back leather strap,
There you go.
available from all kinds of places, including the Pedal Show store.
There you go.
Not slippy. I mean, obviously it will, but it's nowhere near as slippy as a nylon strap. That largely solves the issue of neck dive on an SG, in my experience.
Yeah.
I know it's old news. I know you probably know it already, but it bears repeating. However, if you are an exponent of the guitar swing around the shoulder to come back for your next
Have you ever done that?
perfect sweep pick, drop the pick, kick it into the audience. Who am I talking about?
Stevie Vai?
You've never seen Yngwie Malmsteen live?
No, I have never seen him live.
Oh man, he still does it, or at least when I saw him last, he did it.
I would love to see him.
Yeah.
I saw, was it this film clip to Eat 'Em and Smile or something where he does that? So I did that with my gem. It went so far. It went so, because I was doing it and it was slipping and I thought, it's gonna work. So I hoiked it, and man alive, it went distance.
That's better than it hitting you in the face.
Yeah.
There's a few hilarious Instagram clips of that happening. Guy goes to throw his bass or swing it, and the flaming horn just smacks him straight in the face.
Still funny.
Oh, it's just, I mean, they're quite... I dropped my first ever electric guitar. In fact, Dan and I have this in common. First ever electric guitar was a bolt-on neck SG copy, right? Mine was branded K.
Okay.
And
I
had
don't
the
know what mine was.
plastic amp with the oval speaker to go with it.
Right. I had a cornet.
Cornet, okay.
Little
So they were probably all coming out of 2 or 3 same factories, branded differently for different territories around the world. Anyway, I would have been less than 12, because at 12 I got my first Strat-shaped guitar, which was a Satellite brand.
Right.
Anyway, it was the SG guitar, and I dropped it on my right foot with the strap button.
Okay.
Not the last toe, but the next one back,
Right.
is still deformed
No.
because of this. I mean, not seriously deformed,
Right.
in a kind of, broken and floppy way.
I am not an animal. I am a toe.
Nice. The elephant toe.
The elephant toe.
It's just that the nail has been crushed and will never grow properly again. My point being, they are quite dangerous things.
My point being.
If you caught that in the flaming side of the face, that's going to really cause a problem, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So don't do it, kids.
Boy, oh boy.
How did we get there?
No, I don't. It's, this is something that therapists in years to come will show their students and say, okay, kids, this is a journey. Let's see if you can follow it.
Paul Matulovic. Hi, Paul. Good to hear from you as always, buddy. He says, got to get you through a Stratoblaster, Mick. I know you'd love it. Just perfect note sweetener. Now, is that the thing that Jerry Garcia used to use? And I think we've got one here somewhere. Alembic Stratoblaster. Yeah. Classic booster. Single stage JFET. So instead of having a booster on the floor, you got it in the guitar. Am I right in saying Jerry Gossett used it? I could be wrong.
Yeah, no
I
idea.
could be right. Yeah, I'd be interested to try it. As you know, I tend to I like things weaker getting stronger.
Yes. Yes.
is what I tend to like. So
Yeah.
I like the guitar weak and the amp absolutely raging.
Because you just do naturally perfect gain staging. It's in your bones. In your lovely, thick, dense bones from all the working
I
out.
was just born like this. Yeah, we'll give it a go, Paul. Give it a go. Benjamin Hooper. Hi, Benjamin. Hi, TPS fam. All good, I hope. Yeah, all is good.
All is good, mate. Thank
we're,
you.
we're still a bit demob happy from the guitar show yesterday.
Yeah.
Need help identifying the cause of an awful squeal when my latent lemon audio Hertz is engaged, mainly during gaps in my playing.
Yes, so the Lemon Audio Hertz is the percolator, the harmonic percolator fuzz copy.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
amount
based
of
off of.
you're based off of that. The amount of gain that thing has is silly. It's a truly wonderful thing, but depending on the pickups and guitar and stuff that you're using, it can be hurty. So my suggestion would be find the squealing point and just turn the gain down until the squealing stops. And if you need more gain than that, then you might need to have a look at your pickups.
Or your bridge.
The bridge.
Dan's 65 telly, for example.
Well, yeah.
Don't know what you don't say. Let us know what guitar you have. This has a slightly microphonic bridge pickup. So what happens is it just starts squealing past a certain level of gain. The other thing that can happen with tellies is it can vibrate in the plate, and
Yeah.
that can cause a squeal as well. It was like incidental music. Yeah, so if you've got another guitar to hand, see if it does it with the other guitar. Different pickup selection. That's just great.
Funny. That was brilliant.
It's the bossa that gets me though.
The bossa.
Yeah.
Did you know Andy Timmons did a bossa album? He met some legend in Cuba or something, and
Oh,
they ended
wow.
up doing a whole bossa album.
Wasn't Manuel Galban, was it?
Something like that. And
Something like that.
well, it's out there.
Okay.
But
Galban.
he,
Galban.
because Andy's amazing at
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
And anyway, the guy's playing, and Andy starts doing his thing, and the guy says, "No, do your neck pickup, blues drive, do the Andy Timmons thing over the bossa." And it's like,
wow.
yeah, okay, so he just did the Andy Timmons thing.
Weren't they? I've heard it said that in some of those South American genre of music, the 7 strings and stuff were common.
Oh yeah, the first 7 string I ever heard was a jazz player.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
displaying my extreme ignorance there, but
really great Australian jazz guitar player whose name escapes me.
Bruce.
Is an older gentleman,
Brusso.
not Brusso, not Steve-O or Dave-O. And it wasn't Barry, it wasn't Bazza.
Bezmate.
Bazmate.
Bazmate.
It wasn't Bazmate. But yeah, he used to play this famous,
Working on your
Jazz
triads,
thing.
Bezmate.
and he was an early proponent of this 7-string guitar. Grant
Ben,
was-
yeah, so, process of elimination, turn the gain down, see if it stops, try different pickup selection, try different guitar, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out what is the worst culprit here. Because it could be, it sounds like it's resonant feedback coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's see if you've told us what guitar you play.
Chris Costa Boyle says, would a buffer cause it or cure it? The buffer wouldn't cause it. The input goes through that pedal would go through a buffer. So having a buffer on the front of it should make very little difference. But yeah, it'll be something's oscillating somewhere, and generally it's the pickups.
David Evans, there is a long answer to this question, David, which we won't answer completely, but we'll try and do it briefly. If gain makes it louder, why is gain not volume? What are you gaining if not volume? I know you've covered this, but I still don't get it. Let's stop talking about gain and volume. Let's talk about amplitude.
Mm-hmm.
Dan?
Well,
get your rails out.
Okay. Here's my rails. So, gain, more, amplitude, more, whatever. Here's our signal. And I'm going to turn it up. More signal. More voltage, more output. More. Now, it will come a point though where that signal hits something that we in the industry or whatever we often refer to it as the rails, which is the point at which that signal has reached the maximum before it can limit, and that has to do with the design. We call that the headroom, right? So it might be that you've got a 100-watt amplifier and you're plugged into that has lots of headroom. So we can turn it up, we can get really loud before we start clipping the output stage and the speakers and the preamp and whatever. Might be that you've got a 1-watt amplifier. And so that headroom is lower. So when we turn that up, it clips. Now, it's the same thing in any circuit design. Amplitude of the signal, gain, more. When we hit the limit of those rails of the headroom, it starts limiting. That limiting causes distortion. So imagine I've got this lovely sine wave signal, but imagine that lovely sine wave signal going through my rails, right? So this is the top rail form and down to the bottom rail. All we're hearing is what the rails have. And so when you get rid of all the stuff at the top and the bottom, you get these sharp edges. Those sharp edges are what's creating the distortion, and all the harmonics, and depending on the slant of those and how sharp those edges are and whether they sort of lean forward or so, that is essentially what creates your distortion. In a fuzz pedal, it clips so immensely that it just looks like a square wave. So that's where we get the distortion from. So it's not the fact that gain, distortion, whatever. It's more signal reaching the point where it can't be amplified anymore before it starts clipping.
Yeah.
And then we take that clipping sound and we can lower it and we can increase it through other means, but that is essentially what is creating.
And we tend to use the word gain to mean distortion, and it's a misnomer.
Yeah.
But when we talk about more gain, we tend to mean more distortion. And that's because it happens towards the front of the signal chain, where all those available headroom is much, much lower.
Yes, that's
like
right.
Within 2 stages of a valve, for example, it's much, much, much lower than it is once you get to a 100-watt output section, when it's much louder.
That's right.
Yeah. So, hence gain staging. Right, we need to hurry up. Sorry. Ben, we hope that helps. There's some other good suggestions coming through in the comments as well. Plexico Duncan. Hi DNM, will this be a TPS VCQ super chat bookend? Have a super week. Bless you, mate. Almost. We had a few that came in after you. Oh, and you've done another one, Duncan. You're desperate to be last. Yes, yeah. Oh, mate. You've done 5 of those, mate. That is impossibly
Bless you.
generous. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, man.
But Thomas Eichinger has unfortunately beat you to the last question today, so it's almost a bookend.
We could say Duncan's last.
Yeah. Bless you, Duncan. Thank you so much, mate.
Thanks, mate.
John Bentley. Hey, John. John's been to Experience Day here at TPS. He says, hey, guys, I just picked up a 2-Rock Classic Reverb signature after trying yours a few times, Mick. Can you run me down your basic settings that you use with the Strat? I can show you the exact settings I used yesterday.
Awesome.
How about that?
While Mick is getting that, I've had a question here that says, Dan, from Alex Stark. It says, Dan, now the gig rig pedal boards are out, can you do a rundown of your latest board? I'm really curious how you're using 3 different delays. So absolutely, and thanks to everyone in the comments that has mentioned the pedal boards. Yes, gig rig pedal boards are now out, and I'll have one on the show soon enough. But yeah, I've redone my board a number of times, and I'm just so delighted with it all. But the 3 different delays is really interesting. I've got one analog delay for slapback, and
John, you can look at this while Dan keeps talking about delay pedals.
there you go. So yeah, an analog delay for slapback, a standard digital delay that does the 12-bit thing, and then I have the timeline to do special effects. Look at that.
Is it? I can't see if it's focusing.
Yeah.
Can you see where the knob things
Yeah.
are?
Yeah, it looks great.
Can you see where the knob thingies are?
Uh-huh.
So hopefully, John, you can screen grab that. But just to say, it's quite complex, this amp. And there are days where it drives me absolutely nutty because I can't decide. That's a bit too thin for it to stand on. I can't decide whether I want the bass switch in one position or the mid switch. Normally I have the mids in because that is the post Dumble sound that became the 2-Rock sound, is that sort of pushed mid thing. The bright switch, some days, depending on what cab I have, if I'm using the EV, I have it on. If I use the 2-Rock cab, when I'm just playing, it's usually off. If it's a gig, it's on, usually. But yesterday I was using a very bright cab, and so I turned it off. Yeah, it's so tweaky. It's so tweaky, and I think it can be underwhelming at first when you plug it in because there's so many options. Matt Schofield, just for the record, uses everything off.
Yeah, right.
Everything in its less position.
Yeah.
And he cranks it.
I talked to him the other day.
He's got the master volume about there.
Yeah. But I saw him in LA over at NAMM because he was playing.
How's he doing?
Awesome. Oh man, his playing is fire. He's at the 2-Rock thing.
I hope that helps, John.
And okay, I want to start a petition. At the 2-Rock party, it was Matt Schofield, Josh Scott, Smith, every time, and Kurt Fletcher. And Josh was doing a project called The 3 Princes.
Oh yeah.
Right? Which and those 3 guys playing together, just grown men weeping into their beers. It honestly was so good. So I want to encourage Josh. Please do that
to get it done.
It was so great. But oh man, Matt, it doesn't get better.
He is exceptional.
Yeah.
They're all exceptional.
They are all exceptional.
They're all exceptional. Matt has honed that craft to a very, very rarefied air, hasn't he?
He has. But his voice as well. I mean, his singing is so good. Anyway, it was really wonderful to hear him do his thing. He's loud.
Matt?
Yeah.
Insanely loud.
But
Never hurts.
But it works. It works. It's so beautiful. And what was really interesting is that the guys with the lower wattage amps like sort of turned up, and they all sounded great. But Matt just had. He could just lean into it. He could relax off it.
It's massive.
Everything you heard, everything so beautifully, so clearly. It's really wonderful. Yeah, love it.
I hope that is useful, John, and you could see that. But sometimes I use it in like the full 2-rock thing, which is the mids in the bass EQ in the more kind of aggressive position, the bright switch on, and then in addition to all that, you can switch the EQ out completely, and it gets quite gainy. And then sometimes I like it all switched down into the lowest EQ version, the mids out, so it sounds. At one end, you've got that sort of everything pushed, classic 2-rock kind of sound, born of Dumble.
Yeah.
And in the other position, you can get it somewhere close to a deluxe reverb.
Right.
Kinda.
Sure. Okay.
Kinda. And depending on what you're doing, you might prefer either. Or neither. One thing I love about my new 100-watt Marshall is it's got none of that.
Right.
You just turn it up.
Oh, yeah.
And that appeals to me in a big way.
I understand.
Because I have no decisions in the game.
Sure. Yeah, and I get the same thing with, amps like the high watt, similar thing. I've got the two preamp things, but I'm used to that with when I was doing the same thing with the Lazy J and the master volume, and then you've just got the 4-band EQ and just stick everything in the middle, and then just it's really simple. What I found is I had to turn the bass down quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I also found out that the high gain input's the bottom one on the high watt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's upside down. You see how this is...
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah. See how this is sort of reversed? Flip the high watt around the other way.
Such a fine line.
Such a fine...
Yeah, but I don't think the orientation of the amp affects which is the high input,
But
does it?
what they said that you think of it as
Oh, I
like
see.
an upside down thing. But yeah,
Right.
the high input gain
It's
is
like-
on the bottom.
If the world was not flat, then the plane would just fly off. Johnny T says, can you do a good Kossoff with that Marshall mic? I can't, but I'm sure somebody into Kossoff could. In the video that will come out about my acquisition of the Marshall, one of the first cabs I played was with the old low frequency blackback speakers, which I think Koss liked.
Oh, okay.
Or at least... Anyway, and flipping hell, the bottom end off them is insane. So, yeah, somebody could do a good Kossoff with that Marshall.
Yes, lots of people asking, can we hear the Marshall? Yes, you will hear it.
Matt Swanton says, Mick, have you tried the 2-rock with all the knobs at 2 o'clock? Well, I don't know if you noticed, Matt, quite a few of them are at 2 o'clock, or thereabouts. Certainly all the EQs at 2 o'clock. If I could run the gain and the master at 2 o'clock, I would. It's just evil loud at that level. Is it louder than my 100-watt Marshall? Probably. In different frequency range.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
And the headroom is such that it hurts. Whereas the Marshall hurts,
But just sounds
but
so
loves.
good. The Les Paul into that yesterday, that sound that you had, oh my goodness. Honestly, Mick would play a note and just see half the audience just go, oh, it was glorious. So glorious.
I don't know if they were going, oh, or if they were going...
Either way, it's all
I did
good.
ask the people stood right there if it hurt.
No, they loved it. It was great.
And one guy said, whatever, I've got earplugs in. And someone else said, actually, no, it doesn't hurt at all, which
No.
I was really surprised at. Because
No.
they were vintage 30s in that cab.
New vintage 30s
Yeah, I
as
know.
well. Yeah.
Good luck with the amp, John. Wim Jacobs. Wim came to see us on Friday. He says, hi, beautiful TPS people. Just popping in to say thanks again for Friday's legendary experience. I'm still processing it all. Take one from the chat from me. Love, Wim. We've taken a few already, Wim, and we're running a little bit behind, so we will push on. And if there's time at the end, we will. So thank you for coming, mate. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, buddy, that was great. Thanks for coming all the way from
Belgium.
Belgium.
Can't really make Stuart Hall gags anymore, but
Ben Schwartz says, sorry, he said, it was glorious. I had earplugs in, but I didn't need them.
oh well,
Yeah. And it was glorious.
wow, it was almost 100 watts. Just look at the Belgians. That's what they used to say on It's a Knockout.
Oh, okay.
You probably don't remember It's a Knockout.
No.
Or what would It's a Knockout have looked like in Australia? Oh my God. It's a Knockout was like possibly the worst bit of TV light entertainment ever conceived.
Okay.
And it was
Must have to punch people
it was
in
sort
the
of
face.
outside, and it involved teams of people doing tasks that usually involved them getting wet, knocked over,
Oh, really?
etc.
Like a Japanese game show?
Kinda.
Okay.
And like it was just ridiculous. It was awful. And the most awful one ever was when the royal family did it.
No. Stop it.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's-
all right.
that's,
all right.
the
That
British
is my
royal
viewing
family.
tonight. I will find it.
Anyway, the main host was a guy who ended up getting into trouble later in life, and we won't reflect on that. But it was a British TV institution.
Okay. I will find out more.
It's a knockout.
Brilliant. Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was an international affair, obviously. Hence the "just look at the Belgians" quote.
James Bless says it was a precursor to Takeshi's Castle. Fantastic.
Ah, there you go. Sort of like the early version of Gladiators, or not. Chris Costable wants to know, well, how do I feel about the traditional clean versus the CRS? It's too complex a question, Chris. They're both astonishing amps. It's sort of the traditional clean is very clean and very loud and does most of that Mayer thing that you would want. The CRS goes way beyond in terms of what it does in terms of overdrive and all of that, if you want that. Can the CRS do the traditional clean job? Maybe. I've never got a Mayer sound out of the CRS that I truly love, because it's just not for, I don't feel like it's for that.
Yeah, right.
But for absolutely everything else, I adore it.
Andrew Weir says, Dan, we had It's a Knockout in Oz, remember? Hosted by Ricky May from Hey Hey It's Saturday. Why don't I remember it? I was on Hey Hey It's Saturday a few times. Twice with Max Schramm and once with Wendy Matthews. I will need to, because I don't remember it. I'll have to go back and have a look.
Jean Yohung says, do you know what katana means? Doesn't it mean sword?
Yeah.
I think it means sword.
Well, a katana is a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a particular type of sword. Yeah.
Ben Saunders said, both rigs yesterday sounded glorious. Not hurtful at all. Just great dynamic tones.
That's great.
Yeah, there you go.
Happy days.
Yeah. That was fun.
Adam Davis, Mick, will you ever finish the song you started during lockdown? We would love to hear it finish. Love the show. I am making an album. There you go.
Making an album. There you go.
I'm making an album, so yeah, you will. Whether that makes it onto it or not, I don't know, but yeah, maybe. I'm actually doing it seriously, and I'm gonna do it. So
Awesome.
yes. At this rate, I will beat Dan out for the
Yes,
release.
I reckon so. I'm averaging one song a year. It's so crazy. So I've got 3 of the songs mixed, and I'm just delighted with them. But one of the songs I've had a problem with the drums.
Right.
So I may have to go and re-record the drums.
I'll play drums for you.
Oh, brilliant. That'd be great. Actually, you're a good drummer. I like you've got a great groove.
I got one beat
Yeah, and that's
for about 8 bars.
and then it just progressively gets slower.
Yeah, and worse. Slower and worser. Joe Strang. We saw you on Friday, Joe. Thanks for coming down. It's great to meet you, buddy. Joe says, I was at the Experience Day on Friday, and I can't thank you enough for such a great day. Dan schooling me on my lefty telly, which will live on my mind rent-free. Please take a question from the chat. Yeah, we've done a few from the chat, Joe, so
Yes,
thank you
thanks,
for your
Joe.
generosity.
Appreciate it,
And
mate.
it was great to meet you, buddy. Really
Yeah, it
great
was
to
what a
meet you.
great day. It was brilliant.
Duncan Plexico. Hi again, DNM. Will this be a TPS VCQ super chat bookend? Have a super week. Yeah, maybe. Bless you, Duncan. That's cost you about $50 this week, mate. Thank you. Simon V, RDJ, who we also met at the show. Simon, it was great to meet you. He says, chaps, thank you for your time at the guitar show. Allowing me to get away with heckling a honk when Dan dropped the Ed O'Brien name. Much love to all. See you again very soon. Yeah, we'll see you in May, mate.
Yes, buddy.
It was nice to meet you, Simon. 2 more from Duncan Plexico. Thank you, Duncan. And last in this week is Thomas Eichinger. Hi, Thomas. Thank you very much for your super chat. He says, hey all, greetings. No cue today. Please pick one from the chat. P.S. Cool pedalboard, Dan.
Thank you, mate.
You would hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. No, thanks to everyone for the response to that's been sort of overwhelming, and it's been, years and years of work, and you never really know how these things are going to be received, but everyone at the guitar show was so kind, and the comments on the videos and stuff has been amazing. So it really it makes a real difference, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's great.
Chris Quinn, you've nailed it, Chris. Chris says, Mick, you are exiting the world of possibilities and entering present time with your album, The Courage to Be Disliked. You've read the book. You understand it. Yes.
Very good.
Exactly.
That's
great. The short point is many people, most of us, most of the time, will choose the possibility of being able to do it and being successful rather than the certainty of failing when you do. So it's all fear. That's why you don't do things. And it's true. It's true.
It's the same for animals.
Well, that's interesting.
Because animals, my dog not go into the water because he's scared?
He goes in because he's not scared, because he's scared of the water.
Right.
He has no idea. Well, I'm okay. I would assume that animals are in something approaching conscious presence all the time.
Okay.
So they have fight and flight.
Yes.
Reactions and present time reactions.
Okay.
All the time. I mean, they have learning. So
yes.
He presumably knows he doesn't like water. That's why he doesn't go into it.
Okay.
But what he doesn't do is go to bed and go, I'm not going near that water tomorrow.
Right. Okay. It's just in the moment.
It's only when he's presented with
Sure.
it. Now, there might be someone who's done loads of research on animal brains who will refute that, but I think that's how it works. Everything is in the moment for animals, I think. Don't know. Otherwise, they would figure out how to beat us and eat us more successfully than they currently do.
Right.
Anyway. Benjamin says it does take a lot of courage to be disliked. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, completely.
But the flip side of that is that it's insanity to think that you won't be.
Oh, that's great.
Thinking everyone will like you is insane. It's pure insanity. So you come to the realization that not everyone will, and that's okay.
And actually making plans for things so that everyone likes you is pure folly.
It's that way madness lies.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
Guitar Tone Pro says very few animals have concept of time. Crows, dolphins, and just a few more. Yeah. Crows are amazing.
Oh, they are incredible. My my grandfather, he had a crow that would come and visit him most days, and he'd have little bits of cut off beef for him. Yeah. And they had a friendship for a long time. It was really sweet.
My mum's husband, who died recently, he had essentially a pet crow when he was a kid.
Right.
I mean, things were tough in the 1940s, but... Can I have a dog? No, you can have a crow.
You can have a crow.
Look, they're free. David Tompkins says, I know several drummers that have no sense of time. I rather hope not.
I've
Jolly
got a
good.
rehearsal this week with Dougie.
Yeah.
Which
Wednesday,
is-
Thursday.
Wednesday, which is great fun.
Just Doug.
No, the whole band.
The whole band.
Yeah.
Paddy as well.
Paddy's coming next week.
Right.
It's the whole band without Paddy, but sorry, yes,
All
exactly.
6 strings except the low E.
That's great.
Yeah.
My wife, who is an excellent singer, who used to sing all the time in her youth, is also doing BVs.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
Seriously,
cool.
dude, you wait till you hear her harmonies. She's amazing.
Nice. Oh, I look forward to hearing that. Well, you should get Liv in as well, make the family band.
We would, but she's not around.
Right,
Yep.
right. Okay, Renan Silva, we'll answer yours as the last question. Legends, I have no experience with Collings guitars and I'm completely on the fence about getting one of these or a custom shop 33, possibly Murphy. Why one or the other? Okay, what is a custom shop 33? Is that an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar?
330, 303, 3...
Oh, I see, yes. Could be 335. Could be 330. Okay, yeah, sorry. Well done, Dan. So we're guessing you're talking about a 330, a 335, yeah, one or the two. Why one or the other? Right, if you're talking about a 330 or a 335, there is one significant difference before anything else about the Collings guitars. 16 inches,
Right.
15 inches for the Collings, so it's smaller. Is it 16 or 16 and a half? I can't remember. 16, I think. And the Collings is smaller, and Bill designed it that way. Bill and Aaron designed it that way because they felt it was better just to be a bit smaller, the body.
Right.
Less bass issue, which you get with these guitars, right?
Off the top of your head, do you know the size of the 339? Is it a similar size to that one?
Small. That's much smaller.
Right, okay.
That might even be as small as 13 and a half.
Okay, right. Mini.
14 maybe. I don't know. You'd have to Google that, but yeah, the Collings is 1 inch smaller in the body size. After that, if you pick up a custom shop Murphy 335 or any custom shop Gibson guitar and compare it to a Collings, you will see a difference
Yep.
in finish, sharpness of line, insane attention to detail.
And just outrageous attention to detail. The Collings guitars are...
The person hours that goes into those guitars is properly insane, and if you've ever examined one up close as a work of art, they are generally astonishing.
Yep.
If you care about that, buy Collings.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't care about that, and I don't know if I do or if I don't, some days I look at my Collings guitars and go, I can't believe humans can do that. And I've been there, watched them being made. I knew Bill, so there's a personal affinity as well. And I know people that have worked there who I'm good friends with, so I guess I'm somewhat biased. But at that time, before Bill died, and I've had less to do with the company since that. I don't think anyone made a production electric guitar that came close.
No, I agree.
Or at least I think they made the best production electric guitars I've ever seen.
Yeah. And
In terms of build quality,
yeah, completely.
do you care?
Yeah. But I will say that your acoustic guitar is arguably easily one of the best sounding acoustic guitars I've ever heard.
It's my favourite guitar that I own. It's my most prized possession, and I love it dearly. But again, that has a bunch of personal reasons as well. You know, Catherine bought it for me for my 40th birthday. We flew to the factory. You know, it was a sort of dream experience. So it has a lot of meaning, that guitar. But for the 15-inch thing, if they made a 16-inch one, that's what I would play. But I just can't look at it.
Yeah, right.
Which is insane, because we had a black, I don't know if you remember, back when we were in the old place, we had a black 330 what do Collings call it? So I've temporarily gone. I've had a total block out on what they call that guitar, but the hollow one that's like a Gibson 330. I think that's the best new electric guitar I've ever played.
Yeah, right.
And I was an idiot for not buying it. But yeah, you're going to have to play some, because if you're going to drop that much cash on a guitar, you really do need to play some.
Yeah, and you need to play the Gibson versus the Collings and see which one floats your boat. But the Collings
Which is
are
hard to
incredible.
do.
Yeah, it's very hard to do.
Yeah, I like them. Okay, I think that's us. Jean Jo Hung. There's a chat going on. He's wondering why we won't do quad cortex and Kemper and all that stuff, and if we'd stop people coming on the show because they use it. Well, no, of course not. We don't like them. We don't think they sound very good. Genuinely don't. After 35 years of recording guitar, of playing guitar, of being around people who play guitar, it's not what we would choose. However, if somebody uses that and they use it in their rig, let's say Corey Wong, let's say John Smith, let's say Chris Buck, everyone is welcome on that pedal show if they want to come on. So no, it's certainly not a barrier to entry, but would we use them? Do we want to use them? No, we just...
Yeah, and that's okay. There are loads. If you want to see that stuff, there's so much information out there about them, and that's
Everyone
great.
else does it.
Everyone else does it.
Nobody Mike's amps anymore.
We do this. See those things? They're amazing.
So
ask anyone at the show yesterday.
Yeah. So yeah. Braden says sorry, let me just get your name again. Apologies that I missed it from before. Gene, it's just not our thing, mate, honestly. Yeah. And life is short. Marshalls are brilliant. And that cranked is what I want to do with my remaining time on Earth. So, and if you're unable to do that, and if people are unable to do it, I'm unable to do it. Coffee shop gig on Thursday night, you think that? No way. No way in a million years. So you need to find another alternative. But if I'm choosing, it's that.
There you go.
Or that. And Dan's the same. There was one. Yeah, Braden, we'll leave it with you, Braden. Thank you for asking this. Any plans on celebrating 10 years with 10-year shows, like 10 favourite tones, 10 favourite pedals? Yes, exactly that. We're going to do a bunch of stuff across the year that will be 10 themed, and we should have started, but we haven't. In typical. What we'll do is we'll celebrate TPS's 10th anniversary next year. But yeah, exactly that. There'll be some stuff that's real in the world, and there'll be some stuff that's on the tubes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Groovy. Good. Okay. Lucas Workshop says, can I come on that pedal show? Sure, mate. Why not? What do you want to do? 10 months left, says John Fruin. Okay, we'll get on it. We'll get on it. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We really appreciate you hanging out with us every Monday. It's nice.
So fun.
It's good for the soul. And we will see you Friday. This Friday, just because it is 2025, and we like to keep our fingers on the pulse of what's new and relevant.
The cutting edge.
The cutting edge. We ask the question, does a 4x12 cab make every amp better? Yes. Play us out, Dan. Oh, this is nice. Sounds like a TV detective.
That's very good.